Welcome back to the 39th part of Debugging at Scale, where we surround the bug from all directions. The definition of full stack is shifting like quicksand to match whatever the observer considers to be the stack. I've seen some definitions that include ops aspects into the mix. A more common definition follows the process of writing both the front end and the back end. I define full stack as a process of submitting a pull request that covers all the parts required to implement a feature: backend, database, frontend, and configuration. It doesn't make us an expert in all of these. Far from it. It means we work on a vertical feature and enter domains where our knowledge is cursory. This is good when we have a reviewer who is a domain expert and can guide us through the pitfalls of the domain. Full-stack debugging works in a similar way. A symptom would usually display in the front end in some way, and we would need to track it through the layers. Ideally, we would want to isolate it as quickly as possible. Isolating the issue isn't a simple task. In this module, we'll talk about debugging tricks for the web frontend, how to track an issue through the layers, and the type of issues we often run into. Full-stack debugging is also about debugging the surrounding environment. A few years ago, we were experiencing production problems where a WebSocket connection would disconnect frequently. This only happened in production, and we couldn't find the reason. Eventually, my colleague Steve Hanna found out that our CDN provider, Cloudflare, was timing out the WebSocket after 2 minutes. It's hard to discover an issue like that without debugging a complete system. Front-end developers have an aversion to debugging tools. A common meme among front-end developers is that the console log is the only debugging tool they need. CSS developers have similar memes covering setting the background of elements to red. This is understandable. Front-end is normally very localized. The front-end debugging tools are different and complex. In the past, front-end was much simpler and its complexity didn't justify tooling. Obfuscation made tools hard to use and dependencies made debugging challenging. As the complexity of the front-end grew, this is no longer true. We need tooling, but old habits die hard, and JavaScript developers have a hard time picking up these tools. Pretty much everyone uses the web developer tools, but a lot of the advanced capabilities hidden within these tools aren't used. There are multiple ways to launch the developer tools. The simplest is from the menu, as we can see for Firefox here, and for Chrome in this image. Once launched, we're faced with many capabilities for debugging browser-related issues. One of the most powerful and unfortunately least useful is the debugger capabilities, which you can see here for the case of Firefox. And here for Chrome. Notice the Chrome tools are docked to the right by default, and the Firefox tools dock to the bottom. You can move both to either side or to the bottom. This is especially important when debugging issues related to responsiveness. Code obfuscation is very common in front-end code, and for good reason. We're publishing our source code. That code might contain proprietary information. Obfuscation will make it harder to read. The second benefit is reducing code size, which will improve performance by reducing download size, RAM overhead, etc. Obfuscation is great, but it makes debugging very difficult. That's why we have the curly braces button in the toolbar area in both debuggers. Here it is in Firefox. When you click it, a single line obfuscated file will become a well-formed debuggable file. This is an important capability as during debugging we might want to step into obfuscated framework code. A source map might be generated when you process the JavaScript file or compile it from a different language. If such a file is generated, you can use it to completely de-obfuscate the file, including comments in the bottom of the obfuscated JS file. It has a source mapping comment. This comment binds the source code to the mapping file. For this to work in Chrome, you need to make sure Enable JavaScript Source Maps is enabled in the Developer Tools settings. We're just getting started with debugging the front end. In the next video, we'll continue our journey through front-end debugging tips. If you have any questions, please use the Slack channel to ask them. Thank you.